welcome to the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up. You'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. My name is Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson and Mario Tirabassi as always. But if you're with us here on the YouTube, first of all, smash that like button. We always appreciate it when you do it. But you see a 4th face on the screen, and that is the voice of your Chicago Blackhawks, Chris Vosters, with his cheese head. That's it.
And he's ready to talk Packers.
You had us and lost us, Vosters.
I thought we were going to talk about Milwaukee and Wisconsin and all the great things about America's Dairyland. So I figured I'd dress up for you guys.
Thank you. You are. Perfect. I love you. You're always prepared, man. You always got the props. You've always got the. You bring in the gifts. It's really that's why we love having you on, man. I appreciate it.
Just want to keep you guys on your toes. I mean, we'll see how long this lasts before your link gets taken down or something like that.
Right.
I think this has got to be a cardinal sin, right?
Exactly.
Well, we got Cardinals either. You're 0 for 2.
I'm down to my 3rd strike already.
Yeah. You're down 0-2 in the count early, Chris.
It's just a little less slightly off-putting than watching Mackenzie Entwistle creepily eat cheese on Twitter yesterday.
Yeah, you know what? Was that for real? I mean, yes. He actually is that a block of cheese? Wow.
I did a forensic study of that video, and you can see that he is eating off the block of cheese. It was that was him.
Listen, I grew up in.
Yeah,
I grew up in Wisconsin. That's hardcore, even by my standards. Like that was. Oh yeah, wow, that was impressive.
This reminds me of we'll get to hockey. Don't worry. It reminds me in college we had a buddy from Wisconsin who would always hunt, and he would bring back like venison summer sausage.
Of course,
we would just pass that around like a joint. Like take a bite, pass the next guy. It was just the grossest thing ever. But it was college. We were fine.
Pass the venison.
Well, Chris, we want to have you on as a Milwaukee, Wisconsin native. You were the face of the press conference yesterday, which was great. And this has to be incredibly meaningful for you to be able to have the opportunity to not only call this game, but have this be in your hometown. Like, talk about what this means, not just we'll get to what it means for Milwaukee in a little bit, but what does this mean for you personally from a guy who last year is trying out for this job to now being the guy who's in charge of all these huge events to do one in your hometown had to be pretty special.
Yeah, and look, I'll take this off so people can take me semi-seriously here, but it's really cool. I mean, it's when I got wind of this actually earlier in the summer when it looked like this was going to happen, but the NHL had to do some final site surveys to make sure that the venue would be okay for an NHL preseason game, and I was so excited to talk about this publicly that the Blackhawks gently reminded me, hey, let's just wait before we take to social media before this gets approved officially. So it's been something that I've been sitting on for a while. And, I really enjoyed all the texts and the messages that I got from friends and family up in Wisconsin yesterday when the word became official. So, I think from a fan perspective as well, that's what gets me most excited about this. I mean, there's such an intricate relationship, I think, between Wisconsin sports fans and Chicago sports fans. And I think, across the board, it's one of the great rivalries between fan bases in American sports. And so this is a really, I think, unique chapter to add to that, because, when you think about it, the Cubs, the Bulls, the Bears, and to a lesser extent, the White Sox all play in Wisconsin. But the Blackhawks, for all intents and purposes, never really do. So I think it's with Wisconsin not having an NHL team, it's a really unique opportunity for the Blackhawks to make an impression in Wisconsin and to be a part of it, working for the organization and representing the organization in my home state. I'm really, really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that, Wisconsin, Illinois thing as well. I grew up in Kenosha, which is right on the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. And it is a town that is, split Packers, Bears, Cubs, Brewers. Like it is a split town being right there on the border. And for me, growing up, getting into hockey, there wasn't an NHL team for me to really latch on to, because, from being from Wisconsin, there were no options. So, 90 minutes south of me were the Chicago Blackhawks. So that's kind of where it started. And, Yeah, I mean it's an interesting dynamic, especially for hockey. You know, I grew up in Wisconsin, lived in Milwaukee, and there are a lot of hockey fans, Blackhawks fans that live in the area and live in the state. So I think having the Blackhawks go and play in Milwaukee, and also to having the Wild be a part of it as well, is also, you know, serving a portion of Wisconsin hockey fans that have an affinity for the Minnesota Wild. You know, for whatever reasons, based on location or whatnot, or because back in the 80s and 90s they were the rivals of the Blackhawks, if they really wanted to, you know, the North Stars being the rivals there. So I think it's good to have have the game there in Milwaukee at the Pfizer Forum, which is a tremendous venue, serving both fan bases and really, you know, giving Milwaukee a taste of the NHL, which is something that's always a conversation, is why doesn't Milwaukee have an NHL team? And we talked about it earlier yesterday on the podcast, a little bit about the history of that. And if it happens down the road in the future, who knows? But yeah, I think having this game, I think will be a lot of fun. I think you're going to have a great crowd, and it'll be well attended by Hawks fans. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people from outside the Midwest assume that Wisconsin is like a rabid hockey state because it's so cold, you know, the winters, etc. And I mean,
yeah,
there's not, so obviously there's not an NHL team. And I will say that the Milwaukee Admirals have their devoted niche fan base. You know, there is a random pocket of Nashville Predators fans, honestly, in Milwaukee because of the Admirals tie. But there is a really rich hockey culture and tradition in Wisconsin. The University of Wisconsin men's and women's hockey teams are perennial, especially the women in recent years, perennial national championship contenders. The men's team has a really proud legacy of national championships and ties to the 1980 Miracle on Ice team. And, you know, contemporary players too. Jake McCabe from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Cole Caulfield, probably the last great Wisconsin Badgers hockey player to come into the NHL. He's from northern Wisconsin, now with the Montreal Canadiens. So there's a really, I think, strong lineage of hockey players from Wisconsin that have gone on to play in the NHL. And there is a strong, I think, hockey community in the state that by getting the NHL in there with their big brands like the Blackhawks specifically, I think that will do a lot to sort of dig that up or bring that passion to the surface.
You forgot to mention maybe the best player from Wisconsin, Madison native Phil Kessel.
Phil Kessel.
Future Blackhawk
Future
legend.
Blackhawk. He will be playing in that October 2nd game in Milwaukee.
My words. Based on certain people's Twitter profiles, I mean, some people are likening Phil Kessel to the Messiah.
We are willing this. We are willing this into existence. We want Phil Kessel in Chicago, not because we think he's going to make the Blackhawks better. We just want to spend 82 games talking to him. That's it.
That's 60.
Whatever.
Yeah, 60 is probably a little closer.
Let him break the record here in Chicago. Sell some tickets. We'll have some hot dogs, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah,
it is somewhat interesting that you bring up Phil Kessel because he and his sister Amanda, who is obviously an outstanding player as well. They, you know, I don't want to brand them as traitors, but they are considered somewhat that because they grew up in Madison, but then went to the University of Minnesota, and that is
there's a story there. Yeah,
that is sacrilege.
Well, you know, they always looking to be the front runner, I guess.
It's like, I don't want to call them traitors, but they're absolutely traitors, and we hate them. I'm always fascinated by the dynamic of you're from Wisconsin. This Mario and Chris, you're from Wisconsin, and you can opt to choose the Packers or Bears. Why in the hell would you choose the Bears? But like, you're rooting against this city's teams most of the time. Right? Brewers, Packers, on and on, you know, Bucks, whatever. But then you become a Blackhawks fan. That is like such a weird thing for me to grasp. Like, I grew up in Chicagoland, so I've always had Chicago teams to root for. I think that dynamic, I guess I'm a Notre Dame fan though, so I cheer for an Indiana team. But there's no real Chicago rivals in Indiana. I don't know. The dynamic of that is strange, that you can go, I like the Brewers and Packers and the Blackhawks. That seems strange. Is that more common than maybe I think it is?
I think so. I would actually say to that point that I've been surprised at the number of people who live in Wisconsin who have reached out to me since I took the job and have said, "Hey, I'm a big Blackhawks fan." So while I don't know, I guess, like, in terms of just the raw numbers, what the percentages would shake out to be, but I think there are more people that are able to, I guess, align themselves with two different markets in that sense. So I'm like you, Jay. I'm kind of surprised at the number of people who support the Blackhawks in Wisconsin. I think that first of all, with the two states bordering each other, I think there are a lot of people in Wisconsin that grew up in Chicago, and I'm the case in point of the opposite. I grew up in Wisconsin, and now I live in Chicago. I mean, yesterday at the press conference, I was talking to the general manager of Fiserv Forum, where the Milwaukee Bucks play. They're hosting the Blackhawks preseason game in October. And he grew up in Chicago as a diehard Blackhawks fan. I mean, in the 2000s, when the United Center was not full the way that it has been recently. And he has certainly maintained his Blackhawks fandom even in Wisconsin. So I think the waters might be a little bit muddier than we think, Jay. But what I would say personally is that even though I grew up a Wisconsin sports fan, I really respect Chicago sports teams, and I love the rivalry that Wisconsin teams and Chicago teams have with each other, because every team in Chicago has just got so much history, has been a part of so many iconic moments in whatever the sport may be. So as a fan of sports, I think I'm able to decouple my more animalistic or tribalistic, like, rooting interest with the fact, like, hey, I have to respect what the Chicago Bears and George Halas and that organization have done for the game of football, or certainly what Michael Jordan has done, obviously, to the game of basketball and sports culture as a whole. Same with the luminaries of the Cubs and the Sox. So I guess that's why, for me, I mean, I just really like being a part of these rivalries, and your team's not going to win every game, and it's fun to talk trash when your team wins, but in a sense, it's kind of, you kind of roll your eyes and chuckle when it's your turn to take the browbeating too, I guess.
Little side note, Jay, real quick. You mentioned the dynamic of, like, how weird would it be for someone from Wisconsin to root for a Chicago team. I learned working for a previous media outlet based in Montreal that a lot of Montreal sports fans, after the Expos left, became Boston Red Sox fans, which blows my mind, because everybody in Montreal is a Canadiens fan, and their most hated rival are the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Like, that blows my mind. That how could you root for their baseball team and then wish their entire hockey team horrible, slow, painful deaths every season? Like, that blows my mind. But I guess they don't want to root. I guess some of them root for Toronto too, because it's Canada's team. But again, that's another bitter rivalry too. So it's strange how you can have a hated rival in one sport, and then for another sport, you're like, yeah, they're all right.
That's a great observation. I know our producer for Blackhawks games, Mitch Kersner, is a proud native of Toronto, and he said, and I guess by the way, you're not supposed to say the second T in Toronto.
Okay.
Toronto.
Okay.
Anyways,
okay. Toronto's a brand of bread.
Yeah, it's what we eat our Italian beefs on, my friend, in Chicago.
Right. He was telling me that look like it's either, in terms of hockey, it's either the Leafs or the Canadiens, and you would never pick the other one. So maybe in terms of of the baseball component, maybe Canadiens fans or Montreal sports fans found it, as weird as it sounds, more palatable to root for the Red Sox than the other Canadian baseball team. Who knows?
Yeah, I wonder what that's like for the Raptors too. Not that Montreal's ever had an NBA basketball team, but I wonder if that's the same thing. Like, can't root for Toronto.
Yeah. There is a Canadian flag in Fiserv Forum, by the way, for the Raptors, for the one time a year that they come through.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, hey, that's legit.
Well, and the other thing too with especially with Blackhawks fandom, tomorrow we're planning on talking about the 90s Blackhawks as a kind of flashback Friday. You think about how we talk a lot about how the Blackhawks kind of lost a generation of fans between the the late 90s and the early 2000s, between the early 90s and then the 2010s. I think, when you look back to like the late 80s, early 90s, like there was a lot of, not only, in Chicago, but a lot of national pop for the Blackhawks. I remember a very early episode of Seinfeld. Jerry and George talk about, George has a Blackhawks jacket that he loves. And it's just like, they're in New York and George has a Blackhawks jacket, not a Rangers jacket or anything like that. So it's just interesting how those kind of things, at least for me, you kind of remember those or have to think back to those things. And, the Blackhawks of the late 80s, early 90s had a lot of pop. And I think that bled into Wisconsin. And then of course the rise of the modern Blackhawks in the late 2000s and 2010s made a lot of fans of my generation to get to the team, to be, fans of that team. Corey in the chat also mentioning Wayne's World, probably another big pop culture reference that made some fans in the state of Wisconsin, especially in Milwaukee. And yeah, I think it's just interesting. Me personally, my fandom kind of goes all over the board. Being from Wisconsin, fan of the Blackhawks. I was raised, oddly enough, in probably one of the more anti-Packers households in Wisconsin, which was definitely not the norm. My dad was a big influence on that. A big Walter Payton and Mike Ditka fan back in the 80s and 90s. So I was raised to root for the Bears over the Packers, and also the Dallas Cowboys, but that's a whole nother story. And yeah, it's just, it's interesting being from Wisconsin and having so many ties to Illinois. And, now I lived in Chicago, now living in a way northern suburb of Chicago. But yeah, it's fandom, I think, in the modern age is a lot different than it used to be.
What I will just say is that, there was one kid in my high school class in Brookfield, Wisconsin, which isn't, that's southeastern Wisconsin. I mean, it's not that far from Kenosha or anything like that, but yeah. There was one kid in my class who was a Bears fan, Andrew Glaudel. And you know what? More power to him, because he
calling him out.
He would wear his Bears shirt like no matter what, year round. I mean, he never like he was totally on an island, man. I mean, I really respect him looking back, because he never shied away from it and never once like backed down. And we were in high school when the Bears went to the Super Bowl for the last time. So, he had kind of his moment to shine there, I guess, at least in the regular season. But no, to the point about the Blackhawks kind of riding that wave of momentum in the late 80s, 90s. I think you're absolutely right, just because of the last time the Blackhawks played in Wisconsin. It was in the middle of the 1992-93 season, the year after they went to the Stanley Cup and lost to the Penguins. So I definitely think that there was, with the popularity of the Blackhawks then, a lot of carryover into Wisconsin. And I think that's also like really, really cool too, that, the Blackhawks and the Bulls were in their respective league championships the same season. I mean, I don't know when has one building hosted this would have been the old Chicago Stadium, right? Yeah. When has one building hosted the Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals at the same time? I mean, that would be some great sports trivia to dig into.
Greg, do you have the answer?
What about LA recently?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Kings and the Lakers.
Kings and Lakers,
or Boston.
Maybe the Bruins Celtics. Maybe that's a good.
I'll look that up, and I will.
Were the Celtics in the finals in 2019?
I don't have basketball.
Yeah, I'm not the basketball guy.
I left my basketball brain behind.
Wow.
When Michael Jordan retired, I checked out.
Starts and ends with the guys in NBA Jam.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, is Horace Grant still playing? That's pretty much it.
I don't believe so, but I think he still wears the
He,
goggles.
he should. That was his look. I'm actually old enough to remember when the Packers were bad at football. There was a time there where, I like Mario mentioned your dad in the 80s. It was better to be a Bears fan because the Packers were just lousy for a long time. And then they fell ass backwards into back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And 25 years later, so anyway, I'm not bitter, but I remember,
Benchkowski was over the line, by the way.
Yeah, he still so was. And Charles Martin's a douche. So that's how old my hatred goes back. But I remember going as a kid growing up in the 80s. A kind of like family fun trip was one summer every weekend going up for Summerfest in Milwaukee, which is one of the best events ever. If you're a music lover and food lover and beer lover, you have to go to Summerfest at least once a year. Jay,
sounds like Jay's kind of place.
There's literally something for everybody. We used to go there. We'd do the museum or the zoo one day, stay overnight, and then spend the day. I remember the Milwaukee Admirals having like a roller hockey, exhibition or something at Summerfest every day. That's how I knew Milwaukee had a hockey team. And this was, back in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. So I know Milwaukee has that long tie. The Admirals are one of the oldest minor league hockey teams, or at least most consecutively ran team in the United States. At least there's a history there. I've been up there to cover Admirals games recently, doing the AHL duty. They play in the Panther Arena now. I love that building. I think that's just an awesome building for hockey. It's the perfect mix of like old school, new school. And I know they have a lot of Predators fans up there because they've had the affiliation with the Predators for a long time. It's been so long that like literally Pecorine, Shea Weber, another Wisconsin native, Ryan Suter, all played in Milwaukee. So basically anybody who's been rumored Pudwack.
Chris in trouble.
Hey, Ryan Suter's not playing for the Hawks. Only Phil Kessel is.
He might be.
Not yet. He isn't. But are you kind
Chris
of surprised?
didn't hear that. We muted Chris for that part. Yeah.
Sorry, something cut out. Yeah.
I know there's the Minnesota-Chicago connection, or Wisconsin connection there a little bit. Are you kind of surprised, though, that maybe the Predators weren't involved in this game somehow because of the built-in fan base of the tie-in with the Admirals?
Yeah, I think, I think that was definitely considered. I think that, I'm sure that, among the list of teams that I heard kind of thrown out there, the Wild, obviously the Predators because of the Admirals connection, the Blues, the Red Wings, I think that they cast a wide net in terms of just figuring who the opponent would be. I don't think they could have made a wrong choice either. I mean, with the, I guess the reason why I will say that I'm not surprised they ultimately settled on the Wild is because Wild games are televised in Milwaukee from time to time. Okay. The Wild games are on Bally Sports North. That's their regional sports network. And the sister station of Bally Sports North is Bally Sports Wisconsin, where the Brewers and the Bucks play. So sometimes when there's a hole in programming, they'll put the Wild on Bally Sports Wisconsin in Milwaukee. So I think that maybe they decided that was the reason or maybe that factored into why the Wild ultimately got the nod. But I'm sure that it had to do with the other team as well, and what other team was willing to come up and play in a non-NHL arena and do an exhibition game at a neutral site.
Hope this all leads to a Winter Classic at Lambeau.
Oh, yes.
A lot of people have been calling for that now.
I mean,
they're doing awesome. Everything else at Lambeau. Like they had an English Premier League game at Lambeau. Mm-hmm. They've had college football games at Lambeau. So
they've had the Wisconsin hockey teams play at Lambeau.
Yeah.
So it's been done.
Yeah, great point. So
I don't know if they're going to want maybe not the Hawks for a few years, but it's that would be awesome. I've never been to Lambeau. I've been outside of it. On our trips to Door County, we always stop in the Lambeau parking lot and just kind of take it all in. But I'd love to go in and see it someday. Chris, we've got a lot of. Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
I'm sorry. I've driven by Lambeau and given it the middle finger, but I've never been inside of it. By the way, in case you're wondering, I know this is what we're all here for. The last time, at least to what I can come up with, that the team from the same city played in both the Stanley Cup and NBA Finals in the same season was 2003. With the New Jersey Devils and the New Jersey Nets. I completely forgot that the New Jersey Nets actually made an NBA final. But 2003, Devils and Nets was the last time that happened.
That's a Jason Kidd New Jersey Nets team.
Richard Jefferson. Now, hold on. Just to clarify that, and they played in the same building?
Yes, I believe. Yes, they both played at the old, what is it called? It was the Prudential Center for a long time, whatever they call it. Yeah. Or it might have even been the old Meadowlands, the Brendan Byrne Arena at that time. I don't know when they changed, but yeah, they played in the same building. So that was the last time the same building hosted the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final in the same year. Continental Airlines Arena. That's probably what it was. That sounds right. I have a few Bruce Springsteen bootlegs from that arena. So yeah, that makes sense.
Cool.
Perfect.
All right, we've got a lot more stuff to get to with Chris, including the big elephant in the room. But first, we want to tell you about our friends at PointsBet. Sign up for that PointsBet app and use that promo code CHGO. When you do, you'll receive $2,000 in free bets, risk-free. But you make that $50 or more first-time deposit, and you also get that free CHGO membership. That gets you all of our web content, access to our Discord, and a free shirt from the CHGO locker. You can actually, download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. Online setup is available in Illinois. So just get your phone out, download the app, use the code CHGO. Boom, you're good to go. You'll be signing up with the fastest sportsbook, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
We are also brought to you. Had to unmute the microphone. Had to tell you guys about Athletic Greens and their AG1 product. With one scoop of AG1, what you are doing is optimizing your immune system, improving your gut health, and giving yourself the ability to have more natural energy. With AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. And if you have different dietary restrictions, whether it's gluten-free or dairy-free, or you eat vegan or keto, whatever it is, with AG1, you're good to go. It's easy to incorporate into your life, no matter how busy you might be. Just a small once-a-day habit with big benefits. My wife has started trying it. She really loves it. So we now have 2 people in the household that are benefiting their health with AG1. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase when you go to athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks. Again, all you got to do is go to athleticgreens.com/CHGO Blackhawks to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
All right. So wrapping it up, Hawks in Milwaukee against the Wild, Sunday, October 2nd. Sorry, I can read. October 2nd at 6:30. I had 10-2, so I wrote October. I'm stupid. Sunday, October 2nd, 6:30 p.m. at the Fiserv Forum. Chris Vosters will be on the call. And that leads us to the other thing. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Can I just make one last plug for the preseason game? So it's an NFL Sunday. I would suggest if anybody from Blackhawks Nation or from Chicagoland wants to come up and make the trip, there's a really cool area around Fiserv Forum called the Deer District that will be open to hang out, watch football. The Packers will be playing in the 3:25 time slot that day against the Patriots. So you can watch football, eat, drink, hang out, then head into Fiserv Forum for the 6:30 puck drop. $15 will get you into the game. That's it. And if you want lower bowl seats, $30. But this is a much smaller arena than the United Center. And, getting like a second level seat, I'm thinking, might give you a really good vantage point where you can kind of see down onto the ice. So it's going to be a really fun day. Would really encourage Blackhawks fans to come up and check it out. Check out the city of Milwaukee. It's a cute little town compared to the big city of Chicago.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the town of Milwaukee. I mean, it's got a statue of Fonzie. How could you hate Milwaukee?
Yeah, I've sat in the second level for a Bucks game. It's really good. It's not a bad seat in that place. It's so $15 for that ticket for hopefully two lineups that are mostly NHL players by the time of the preseason. Maybe that would be well worth it for sure.
Yeah, and tickets go on sale Friday. So thank you, Jay.
I smell a CHGO road trip. And
hell yes,
social media content coming. We gotta get the.
There you go.
And
got to get the CHGO van out of the shop.
Yeah, there you go. Corey points out Lakefront Brewery. That was just an awesome brewery tour, the best I've ever had. And Corey's mentioning the best place went up to the old PBR brewery for a tour. So that sounds fun too. I'm down. Let's do it. CHGO, send us out there. Come on, let's go. Come on. We'll even drive home after the game. That's fine. We can do that. We just want to be there for
I'm your permanent DD. You guys can have as many free samples at the brewery you want. I got us the ride home.
Love it. That's great. All right, Chris, we got to talk about it, man. And we're not going to put you in a bad spot, obviously, but all of us caught off guard a couple weeks ago when Eddie Olczyk made the decision to not be on the call anymore. I guess no one's really had a chance to talk to you since then. Like, what were your feelings in that moment? I would imagine it would be some mix of disappointment and excitement, kind of like this, because yesterday's a good indicator. You're the face of the team now, man, for better or worse. And I think it's for better. Congratulations, dude. It's like it's happened so quickly for you.
Yeah, I mean, and there's really never been a dull moment this offseason, to be honest with you. No, I think it definitely. Well, so when I first started hearing rumors about it, and when someone first sent me the article that said he was leaving, I didn't believe it, to be honest with you. I thought, oh, okay, well, this is just some bluster designed to kind of stir the pot, but things will work itself out, whatever. So I learned shortly after that no, it was real. It was actually happening. And look, I mean, I was really excited about working with Eddie for indefinitely for the foreseeable future, and I really had a lot of fun working with him last season. He made me better as a hockey broadcaster, and it was just really, really cool to get to work with a guy of that stature and that magnitude in the sport and in broadcasting, my industry. So, but you know what? At the end of the day, he's got to do what's best for him and his family, and I trust him to make that decision. And I to be honest, I haven't dug too deep into many of the articles or the op-eds that were written about it. I don't believe that anybody in the Blackhawks organization wanted Eddie to leave. I don't think there's anyone in the Blackhawks organization, certainly myself included, that doesn't acknowledge and wholeheartedly understand the value that Eddie brings to any organization, but especially the Blackhawks with his local ties and his resume and his pedigree. But it's a finicky business. And this is just sometimes what happens. Business agreements and partnerships run their course, and it's time to move on. I understand the abrupt nature and maybe even the shock and the willingness to find someone to blame and pin a scapegoat tag on somebody. But in this case, I understand that there are raw emotions about it too, because this is an organization and an individual that have invested a lot of time and energy and effort into each other. And that time is now over. But I think that there is an opportunity to get someone in the booth that will be around for hopefully a really long time with me, and I'm really excited to work with whoever comes in next. There's a deep talent pool. I think a deep alumni talent pool of people that are interested in the job that the Blackhawks can pick and choose from. And, I'm still really excited. I'm every bit as excited to have this job and to see what the future holds. So we'll see what happens.
You don't have to give us any names or anything, but is there going to be some sort of like audition process in the summer, or are we going to see like do you have any insight to that, or like is there any like are we going to have kind of like a rotation of people working with you this year? Have the Blackhawks kind of given you any pointers in a direction?
Well, I think as far as an audition process goes, I think what everyone went through with me last year, I think everyone's sick of auditions. So, and kind of that way of maybe finding a broadcaster. So I think whoever they pick, I think is going to be ready to go from the start of the preseason. And, I can see a scenario where multiple people are in the booth. I'm not sure. I don't know if it'll be one guy who's on short notice like this, able to handle, the full 82 games, we'll call it. And I know some games will obviously be nationally televised, but
don't forget playoffs.
That's right.
Yes.
So I don't think it's going to be the carousel that it was for my audition and trying to fill Pat's shoes last year. I don't think it's going to be like that. And I think whatever ends up happening, whether it's one guy or it's a platoon, I think the Blackhawks are going to make sure that it's communicated with the fans what exactly is going on, whether it's, two guys splitting at 50-50, whether it's going to be a main guy and then a backup, whatever the case may be. I think that it will be announced neatly and concisely. And I think that the fans will have a clear idea of who to expect on the broadcast when they tune in and night out.
I hope you are feeling, and I know like this maybe throws a little bit of a curveball there, but I hope you are feeling welcomed, and I hope you're feeling like people are excited for you and happy for you, because I get the sense that people are pretty glad you got the job. Of all the candidates, like we always get feedback on Twitter or wherever, like so-and-so sucks, they're terrible. Like we hear it all the time, and we just like, it says a lot for you that we haven't seen that. Like people will tell us that proven good broadcasters suck, and we do not hear anything negative about you. And I think that speaks to how hard you worked at the job, which of course we found out a lot about kind of after the fact, after you were hired. You talked about it when you visited with us before, like all the work you put into it and always being around and all that stuff. Like I think people are happy to see you with this role. And I know I speak for the three of us that we are as well. But I just think like what fascinates me now is your transition from, Eddie is the big name and you're there with him and you'll grow in that role, of course. And now you're suddenly thrust into this like press conference guy. And maybe when Phil Kessel breaks the record in Chicago, like you have to be on the ice to give him his silver stick, like all those sort of like MC opportunities now that maybe went to Eddie in the past now also fall on you. So like very quickly, you've gone from rehearsals and tryouts to like the guy. Is that scary, or is that all, like, how does that make, like, is that intimidating? Is it all of the above? Like, how do you feel about that? Like maybe unexpected aspect of the job being put upon you a little bit earlier than expected.
I think it really is all of the above. And, look, like this is still newfound territory for me, just being not just the voice of a team, but the voice of a team of this magnitude, like the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to, I'll admit to you like 100% that, maybe I'm still in a little bit of denial myself about, just everything, and kind of like how many eyeballs are on me or whatever. and maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah,
frankly.
don't think about it.
Yeah.
It's scary.
So, but like, look, I'll just go back to what we said earlier. I'm really, really excited to be here. The situation in the broadcast booth with who my partner is really doesn't affect that. I mean, as you said, Jay, it was like a mixture of disappointment, but also excitement at the same time. I might actually be the veteran in the broadcast booth when the season starts, which is crazy. But I told the Blackhawks when I was going through the interview process, and I really meant it, that I want to be the face of this franchise. So the emceeing stuff, the off ice stuff, the stuff in the community that comes up, I mean, sign me up. Like I really enjoy that part of the job as well. And that's a role that I understand comes with a title like this. And it's one that, again, that I really enjoy. So, that would be great. Like, I would love to be on the ice to give Phil Kessel his silver stick. I mean, that would be really, really cool. And I'll tell him he should have gone to Wisconsin, but
the iron stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Let's make it happen.
So look, like all that stuff is, I'm taking it one day at a time. It's been very humbling to, for all the support. Like, you guys have been great, just at the arena during practice or development week or whatever the case may be. I mean, you guys have, and the entire, media corps have been super great and supportive. And, the stuff from the fans has been really humbling as well. I'm not, I'm really trying not to look for external validation anywhere. I'm really just trying to show up and do my job. And, again, I'm still really excited for the season, even though I know the team is not going to win the Stanley Cup, whatever. I think that there's still going to be a lot of fun things to talk about and highlight. And, I was at the press conference yesterday in Milwaukee. I was talking to Colin Blackwell a little bit, and I think he's going to be an outstanding guy for Blackhawks to get to know, and is really going to represent this organization well. So, I think that, it's nothing that has happened has taken the shine off this job for me. I'm still really, really looking forward to the season and all that comes with it.
I think we can say the same here. We are still excited for this season, regardless of how it may look like. There's some pictures from yesterday's big press conference. Putting the Milwaukee Bucks mascot in a Blackhawks jersey probably went over like a lead blimp with some Wisconsin fans, but looks good.
Now this, let me explain this picture.
Right.
So
go five hole
lefty.
Lefty.
Shelf.
Yeah, there you go. Lefty.
You go.
And I unfortunately, I'll just say Mango blocked my shot. It was on target. It was on goal. But
elevated the puck like Eddie O always says, throw those hands up.
It's tough to go top shelf with a goalie that has antlers. He's got the top half of that. He's got the top half of the net covered. There's my
I wanted to shoot against Tommy Hawk because I think he would have let me score. But
yeah. Wow. Oh, nice.
Looks like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that game for sure. A hockey game in an arena I've never been at before, in a great little town just over the border. It should be a fun day.
I'm really excited. I think it'll be a really kind of a cool way to kick off the season. The regular season will be about 10 days away at that point. And as I said, I hope it becomes a regularly occurring thing, because I think it's really got legs to be a fun event.
All right, before we let you go, we got to ask you: Are you at your childhood home?
I am.
It's nice to see your Daffy Duck poster. And are those Hot Wheels behind you?
Actually, they're not. I can. Let me see if this will work. I can show you.
Give us a tour. Let's see the kitchen.
It's my you guys. This is like my prized possession. It's my my NFL Pocket Pro helmet collection.
Oh, sweet!
Nice.
I remember those,
dude.
Wow.
Don't worry. I've got the NFC North up there. So they're they're the Bears. And I've got awesome. So I've got a bunch of throwback helmets, and I've got some college helmets.
Is that Rutgers?
So, yeah. It's a random order right now, but
that's awesome.
That's really cool.
I remember getting the plastic helmets out of the gumball machines. Those were the best.
I was gonna say, were those? That's a lot of quarters spent over there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like $2 now with inflation, but that's all right.
Yeah,
but no, I was going to listen. If I was talking to the Blackhawks director of communications, John Steinmiller, last night, and if you guys had been in studio, I would have been there because I love your studio. But when I got the call that you guys were remote, I set up the shop in my childhood bedroom. So that's where I am. Good old Brookfield.
Right, well, the next time you are in studio, I'm going to wear one of my Looney Tunes Roosevelts in honor of your Daffy Duck poster to make you feel at home.
Perfect. Thank you. And actually, listen, it's actually a jigsaw puzzle that I put together. Framed? Yeah, wow, and I framed it because it was that was one of my quarantine activities during the pandemic. I did a few jigsaw puzzles, and I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan as well, and I love Daffy Duck. So that was I put it in a frame because I wasn't ready to take it apart.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Chris, thanks for the time, man. We appreciate it. You stayed extra for us, and
anytime, man. Loved it.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, dude. Have a good one. Have a good rest of your summer. Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Thanks,
we'll be in touch.
All right, that's Chris Vosters, the voice and the face of your Chicago Blackhawks. Follow him on Twitter at CJ Vosters. That was a lot of fun.
Follow him on TikTok too. He's got one of the most active TikToks out there. Me being the TikTok expert, he's everywhere.
If Greg's endorsing the TikTok, it's
I mean, he's got the perfect personality. He is a TikTok star.
It's a very dab account he runs.
It is super dab. And the funny thing is, like, he is the busiest dude in sports. Like, every day he's got a different polo on. Some other,
he did a Twins game the other day. Like, he's all over the place. I don't know,
like a high school basketball tournament.
Yeah, he was doing like a Polish dancing competition. He just kind of does everything. Whatever
shows up to random events with a microphone and starts calling them.
Yeah, if there's a mic, Chris Vosters will be there.
He was the MC at Pierogi Fest. Yeah.
I hope we weren't like we had to talk about Eddie. We can't not talk about Eddie. I think we didn't put him in a bad spot, right? Until we called Gary Suter a pudwack or
rumored pudwack. We don't have confirmation on that one. He was the start of the whole trend. Yeah,
the original rumors.
All right. Well, before we wrap the show up, we've got to give you the points bet play of the week. And Greg is the maestro of the plays of the week. What do we got this week, my friend?
Well, we've got back-to-back, nearly almost doing it 2 weeks ago. I picked Kyle Busch to win the NASCAR race. He finished second. Last week, I went Justin Steele to get 7 strikeouts. He got 6 before his defense let him down. I wanted to do a bet on today's Milwaukee Brewers game to kind of tie in the whole theme of today, but they've already started. They started at 11:40 for some reason. So we're going to stick with baseball. We're going to go with our other not our other, but our second baseball team, the Southsiders. We haven't done a Sox bet yet on the play of the week, so they're my last hope before I get kicked out of this bit. I'm going to bet
La Russa be awake in the first inning.
There's no money in that bet because everybody's betting that he won't be. I'm going to bet that Andrew Vaughn is hitting a home run in tonight's White Sox game at the Texas Rangers. It is plus 500. Andrew Vaughn's due, and I looked it up. The Texas Rangers ballpark there in Arlington, Texas, is ranked 7th. They've given up the 7th most home runs in all of baseball this season. So the ball flies out there. I'm sure it's going to be nice and hot down in Arlington. Launching pad, as the kids like to say. So I'm betting Andrew Vaughn is going yard for the 11th time this season at plus 500. That's really good value. So based on my track record of the last 2 weeks, he's going to hit 3 fly balls to the
warning
right to the warning track. Maybe he'll get a double off the very tippy top right under the yellow line on the wall. He's going to come so close and then just drive it in my heart. But come on, Andrew, I believe in you. You're my favorite White Sox player of all time. Let's hit a home run.
All right, jump on that PointsBet app. Use that promo code CHGO when you sign up. All right, we're going to wrap things up. Thanks to Chris Vosters for joining us. Tomorrow's show, audio only. Look for it around 11 a.m. or so, usual time. We're going to talk about the 90s Blackhawks, which doesn't sound as fun as it will be. I promise you it's going to be fun. Give it a listen. We're going to rehash some names from the past and tell some great stories. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And make sure you're subscribed everywhere you listen to your podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications so when new episodes drop, you know about it. But for Greg and Mario, I'm Jay. Thanks to Sarah for producing, and again, Chris Vosters for jumping on, and to the Blackhawks for making that happen. We'll talk to you Friday on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.